Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
how's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar with...
Tik Tok Tina.
And what are we talking about today, Tik Tok Tina?
Today we're going to talk about these titles from IDW Publishing.
So, stay tuned, everybody.
Let's go. Omar, before we get started, I just want to say thank you for IDW Publishing for sending us these books.
Why did you say Omar? Okay, you're welcome. Thank you, IDW, for sending us copies of these books. Today we're going to be looking at a different array of books. We have some hardcovers, deluxe hardcovers, and new library collections that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. But before we go any further, don't forget to smash what, Tina?
That like button.
That's right, not the bell. Smash the... Well, you hit the bell, too, if you want to.
Hit the bell.
For notifications. Okay, why don't you kick it off, Tina? What are you going to start with
I'm
today?
going to start with Taka.
All right.
I'm talking about Taka. It is a soft cover. It is, look at that cover. It is beautiful. Here is the spine, and it is glued. So you can see right there, back cover. It retails for $16.99, and it contains 256 pages. This is by Ryan Jampole. Here we go. Look at that. This is beautiful artwork. We meet Taka, which is the title. It's also the main character. We meet her. She's a loner. She's known as the delinquent, or I really want to be honest here and say she really calls herself the delinquent. People call her the delinquent, or the notorious delinquent. But we see she is beating up a gang because, spoiler alert, he bumped into her and kept her from winning a crane game, a woman after my own heart. She wanted a figure inside there. And so she, of course, starts fighting this guy. And Star, the secondary character that we meet here, thinks that she did it to save her. And selfish desires, it was just because she lost the crane game. She lost this particular toy. She stole Star's donut. And we meet Ichi, the dog. So Star is looking for her dog. She's putting up posters, and hijinks pursues. So what is this all about? This is a girl that ends up becoming a mech fighter, or sort of a superhero, even though she's a reluctant superhero. She doesn't want to be anybody's superhero. And this is a really common theme in this book, that nobody was a hero for her. So why should she become a hero to protect others? We meet characters along the way where she slowly develops feelings. She starts to relate to these characters, and she really doesn't want to do that. No one was there. Why should she be there for other people, including Gator, the main antagonist at the very beginning? These sort of creatures from outer space, or a different timeline, that are part mech, part animal, part insect, called dark spheres, inhibit people and sort of grow and consume dark energy. They feed off that. They want to destroy the world or make the world in their own image. And she's trapped fighting these guys with the hero medal. And we kind of see her past, her making friendships with people, and her fighting these characters. She is a very reluctant hero in this book, and it is gorgeous. It is funny. There are moments of brevity, so it's lighthearted. I didn't really feel like really sad about this book. This wasn't too deep. It is definitely for sort of a teen audience, but I actually really enjoyed it. I don't want to spoil too much, but she does end up making friends with everybody in the end. Not the enemies, but definitely the human characters along the way. Give it a try.
Okay, now we are focusing on the Godzilla library collection. And the one thing I want to make sure people are aware of is that these are trade paperbacks. I know when sometimes you hear the word library collection, you immediately think of like the Rick Remender library collections, or even the Hellboy library collections, or just when Dark Horse releases them in their hardcovers and oversized. These are just trade paperbacks and standard size trade paperbacks with, of course, glued binding. However, the paper stock in this is really nice. It's this really thick, glossy paper. So let's look at volume 1 right now. Flat spine, by the way, and this is the way the spines look together. So actually, you're going to put them like this. I do find it interesting that, and nope, I take it back. That Godzilla is so much bigger in this spine than this one. And that could be because of the thickness of the book, because of the different, of course, page counts on them. But you have Library Volume 1 and 2 there. You've got the IDW logo and Library Collection. And then the backs of the books right here. And the most craziest part about these is that the first book right here, Library Volume 1, has 376 pages. Library Volume 2 has 304. This one is $19.99. This one is $29.99. Maybe it's the hook. It's that hook to get you to get the first book. So let's actually talk a little bit about these collections. So here we have the table of contents, your title page right there with this awesome image. And Godzilla Gangsters and Goliaths is collected in here. Godzilla Legends featuring these characters like Anguirus, Grodan, Titanosaurus, Hedra, Kumonga, and then the ever popular Half-Century War, which to a lot of us is a complete masterpiece. It's amazing. But that is your table of contents. So we do start it off with Gangsters and Goliaths, and it's all about this detective right here, Makoto Sato, who's just pretty much trying to bring down this crime syndicate. What are they called? Takashi? No, it's Takahashi crime syndicate. Now, along the way, there are, of course, some unexpected twists and turns, and that is where the giant kaiju come in this monster island. So it's not just featuring the character of Godzilla. Man, look at that James Stokoe piece right there. But also Mothra, and maybe a couple of other surprises. This is the one by John Layman and Alberto Ponticelli working on this book with different covers. And the covers, by the way, are textless. They don't have a trade dress on them. And yeah, they just tell you, or they just show you the artwork here. But that was a 4-issue miniseries. And then we get the Legends. And Legends is where it gets really interesting because now we have different creators. You have E.J. Sue, who I loved. A lot of people probably know E.J. Sue because of E.J. Sue's Transformers covers in the Transformers IDW Phase 1. But I think he's just a phenomenal artist. But also, you get artwork in here from Tony Parker, Simon Gain, Matt Frank, Chris Mowry doing some stuff in here. And these focus on the different characters of Rodan, for example, or Titanosaurus. And that's what makes up about a third of this particular book. And I think he did Hedra, if I'm not mistaken. E.J. Sue did, which is my favorite one. That's the one by Chris Mowry, the writing. But the art is stellar. And they have been printing Godzilla comics since about like 2010, 2011. I've talked about this particular story right here in the Best of Godzilla, where he's climbing up on top of Godzilla, but it's basically featuring Kumonga. That is the kaiju that it's featuring. And then the Half-Century War, where it follows this one man's journey across different decades as Godzilla is just destroying Japan. And it is amazing. But it's not just Japan, because it takes them all over the world too. And James Stokoe's phenomenal artwork. This just, for some reason, it's in the... Well, not for some reason. It deserves it. It's in the Best of Godzilla, and it's also... it came out in a hardcover format. All the way in the back, I think this one has, just a little bit of extras. Like this right here. This is Arthur Adams, man. Just drawing your kaiju. That's amazing. And then you have, like, black and white pictures there. And that's Library Volume 1. Let's look at Volume 2 really quick. So this is Volume 2, as I mentioned. This is the one that's $29.99. What this one collects, though, is a lot different than the previous collection. I'm surprised they didn't start with this one because I'm pretty sure the stories collected in here came out before Library Edition Volume 1, and that is the Kingdom of Monsters series. So Kingdom of Monsters was an ongoing series. You're going to see the work in here, by the way, of like Eric Powell and Phil Hester. But here you go, Kingdom of Monsters, and it collects the 12-issue series Kingdom of Monsters. But these are some of the creators right here, Tracy Marsh and Victor Santos, and that's where the credits are. And I think that's really cool, by the way. This piece right here is Eric Powell. So this focuses on the character of mainly Godzilla, but of course fighting off other creatures throughout Japan. And sometimes taking him, of course, around the world. It's really interesting because while it focuses on the uprise of like giant kaiju around the world, so there's a little bit of a political aspect to it, it's also about giant monsters and what's happening with this mass destruction they're causing. So I don't know, it's kind of a weird mixed bag of both, right? It's got, like I mentioned, the whole political aspect, and then sometimes it's got like almost like a little bit of horror in here just because of some of the things that happen or some of the imagery. And again, focusing on Godzilla, but other kaiju. So this is definitely for people that have always trying to get into the character of Godzilla, but never knew where to start. Like the sampler, to me, is the best of Godzilla, that trade paperback, but this is more for a completist. They are publishing these in like comprehensive reading order, not so much like chronological order, which I guess makes sense, and publishing chronological order, by the way, because this came out, I think it did. It came out before most of the stories in Volume 1. In the back, we get more art, though, and because it is glued binding, we do get some gutter loss. And this is what the artwork looks like. And then Godzilla Library Collection Volume 1. And that's the best of Godzilla. Volume 3, I think, is scheduled to come out sometime in the fall. But that's Volumes 1 and 2.
I'm a huge Star Trek fan, so when Omar asked me to step in and read Day of Blood, I had no qualms about this. This is a hardcover. Here's the spine. Nice. Back. It is sewn binding, so you can see right there. It's kind of smaller, but you can see it. It is nice, thick, glossy paper, and we can compare it over here. So it is the same trim size as your paperbacks. And let's take a look inside. Of course, here's the creators down here. I love this cover. And what does it collect in here? It's 200 pages, and it does retail for $27.99. It collects Prelude, Dawn of Blood, Defiance, volumes or numbers 6 through 7, Star Trek 11, 12, and Shaq's Best Day. I love Shaq's Best Day. If you're a fan of Lower Decks, Shaq's Best Day, it is in the back. He's from Lower Decks, and I adore adding him into this. I thought it was smart. I love the little commentary in it. It is amazing. You're going to love this. So it starts out, the prelude obviously is going to set the pace for the whole volume. We kind of end up on the Klingons' homeworld or one of their lands, and they're kind of going through a festival, a sort of event. And we have, of course, Star Trek's, there's a lot of political intrigue going on here. We kind of meet a human captain, and what I thought was going on apparently is not actually going on. I thought he bit the dust here. It really looks like he bit the dust. There's, oh man, I love this art. I'm sorry, I love Cisco. So Cisco's not my favorite captain, but I appreciate him. I love Picard, but we meet familiar characters and some characters that are not familiar to me. We meet Data. You've got some older hands still on deck. I love the fact that Shaq makes appearance here. So the prelude kind of sets up what we're going to see political wise, the players that we're going to, or the powers that are against each other for Day of Blood. Oh, look at this. I love this. I love these covers in here. And I'm so happy when they show the covers inside here or they give us art. And Malachi Ward also did the cover. So we meet Cisco, who, of course, everybody knows him from Deep Space Nine. He has his own crew. Right here we meet all of them. And there's actually going to be 2 sets of crews that we're going to meet. We're going to meet Worf with his crew that's asking for help on the planet, and Cisco. Here's the page I was looking for. So we have the ship USS Theseus and we have the USS Defiant. So these are 2 of our teams that we're going to be working together, and they're going to kind of trade off people. We've got First Officer Data besides Cisco. We've got Beverly Crusher. I had a crush on her as a kid. We have Shax, who's from Lower Decks. And we've got some new characters in here that I wasn't familiar with. Tilar, and we've got an ensign. And then we've got Tom Paris, which I'm familiar with, who is the husband of one of the Defiant engineering crew. We also have Captain Montgomery Scott. Oh, Scotty. Let's see. On the Defiant side, we've got Captain Worf. We've got First Officer Spock. We've got Medical, which this one surprised me. Name unknown. They're kind of like, the Defiant is kind of operating outside of usual command. But Cisco's not going to let Worf founder. He's going to actually come and help them. And they've got to formulate a plan to help the Klingons and help this hostile takeover of this Klingon planet. So families are being torn apart, including Worf's own family, which, I mean, if you know Alexander, you know his whole setup. You know, Worf was there, but wasn't really there. Alexander is dealing with his own background, his own history, what it means to be Klingon. And these characters are really coming to terms with their own personal history, as well as what's going on around them. I love how Star Trek, these talkies, these stationary episodes kind of play out while the main dramatic is happening. So families torn against families, internal strife. You also have some secrets that are being revealed, although not for the whole crew or cast. And of course, we have the best day ever. And I'm just going to flip. I don't want to give too much away. This is definitely going to stay in my collection. This is gorgeous artwork. This is gorgeous story. But my favorite, and I want to see actually more of, is the Lower Decks section, Shaq's Best Day Ever. I just love, and I want to show you guys this. These little comments just mean so much. They add so much to the storyline. Like, look at this. Look at this art. This panel has me. I love it. I want to see more and I want to collect more. This really whetted my appetite for diving back into Star Trek as a comic. Oh, check it out. I love it.
Last but not least is the Sonic the Hedgehog, the IDW Collection Volume 4. It is a deluxe hardcover, meaning that it is the size of an omnibus, as tall as an Omni. So let me just give you a quick little comparison here, so you can see just how it's the size of an Omni. Or, I'm sorry, as tall as an Omni, not really as thick, of course, because these books are huge. So, this right here, I love the end sheets. It's like a racing flag right here. It's Evan Stanley doing these covers. Reminds me of like the IDW covers that they've done for Ninja Turtles or Transformers, and of course G.I. Joe. This book retails for $59.99, and it has 280 pages. And here are your credits. Ian Flynn writing a lot of the issues in here. Mainly the miniseries, the Bad Guys miniseries. And he came from the world of Archie comics. He did Mega Man, and then when Mega Man was canceled, he went over to Sonic, and then when Sonic was canceled, Archie, he came over to IDW. So he is no stranger to writing these particular characters. So this does collect the Bad Guys miniseries 1 through 4, and then Sonic the Hedgehog, the IDW era 33 through 40. And the first story arc is that little miniseries. This is all about Dr. Starling, this guy right here, who was one of like the minions, or I guess kind of like they don't take him seriously. Dr. Robotnik's, yes, I will always call him Dr. Robotnik. I know most people are like, Eggman, I get it, but creature of habit here. He's kind of like his lackey, and what he's trying to do is he's trying to get into one of these abandoned Dr. Robotnik or Eggman, call him whatever you want to, I guess, facilities. However, he can't get in, so what he ends up doing is recruiting a team of villains, a team of villains that can help him get revenge on not just Eggman, but also Sonic. So he wants to find people that hate Sonic as much as he does. So he goes into the prison where he tells the warden that, he kind of hypnotizes the warden because he's using these abilities he hasn't used before. And he ends up getting villains out of there. So you've got Mimic that gets out of there. You've got the character of Ruff and Tumble that end up going with him. And then you get the big guy, Zavok, who at one time was the leader of his own evil group. So they decide to join forces with him. Yeah, right there. Leader of the Deadly Six. Now, the really cool thing about this, what I enjoyed the most, is that you don't really see Sonic in here. Yeah, I know that's Sonic right there, but, a little bit of a twist there. Especially when you have a character named Mimic. You don't really see Sonic show up. This is just the hijinks and the planning that these group of people are trying to get done to try to get into Eggman's headquarters. So I found that really fun. And then we get back to the main Sonic series. And by the way, sometimes the variant covers are on the opposite side of the standard edition cover. And yes, you do get a ribbon. Yellow ribbon like the previous volumes. So the main Sonic series, we're looking at the aftermath of everything that has happened with the metal virus and how the characters are coping. So you do get to see Amy, Cream, and Rouge, and of course Sonic and Tails. A couple of other characters show up through here. I love when Shadow shows up because you never know exactly what he's going to do. The Chow, by the way, I think they're Chow, right? You call them Chaos. Because to this day, I still call them Chows. I think that's how you say it. They're having their own little dilemma, and we're introduced to a new character. And that is Belle right there. And Belle plays a role that's kind of like Shadow at first. You don't know exactly what side she's leaning on. And Dr. Starline shows up through here. Talking about some of the things that happen in the miniseries, too, in the Bad Guy miniseries. And we also get the return of another character through these pages, too. I think it's the third story arc. Yeah, this story arc right here. And that is Tumble. So Tumble shows up through here, and he's got his own agenda that he needs Belle for. And this is what the artwork looks like. I love the art. It is very cartoony. But, honestly, I was telling my kids, it's interesting that I think, like, this book right here, even though it doesn't state that it's all ages, it feels like an all ages book, but with a little bit of that, maybe it's got like some teenage, I guess everybody's a little bit different, because they use words like assassin, like when the doctor was trying to get, like, recruiting people, the prison warden was telling him that, oh yeah, so-and-so is an assassin, and I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. So you see Cream through here, you see Cheese through here. All these characters, not just from the video game, but also the comics. And in the very back, you do get extras. And these are the other variant covers that were not collected in between the issues. There's no solicit for a Volume 5, but I really hope it comes. By the way, this cover right here is freaking awesome. Oh, I forgot to even talk about Omega. That is awesome, by Jonathan Gray. And then, there we go, the end sheets. This book has 280 pages and retails for $59.99. Let's look at the binding. It is sewn binding. And not much of an eye. And honestly, there's not that many spread pages through here. And that's it. That, as they say, is that.
If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, please check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more.
And that was the content and page count of each of these books, and kind of giving you a small taste of what is in store in case you're picking any of them up or in case you've been wondering about them.
And don't forget to hit that notification, ring that bell, like this video, and comment down below. Please, it helps us so much.
You know, hitting that notification and ringing that bell are the same thing, right? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you came ready. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.